What if the world's most famous symbol of freedom is hiding secrets nobody told you, and once you hear them, you will never look at the Statue of Liberty the same way again? On a lonely island in New York Harbor, a giant woman of copper rose above the water, holding a torch high, silently promising freedom, hope, and a new beginning to millions arriving. Her official name was Liberty Enlightening the World, but most people simply called her the Statue of Liberty, the green guardian watching ships, storms, dreams, and history unfold before America every day. Few knew her story began in France, where thinkers, artists, and engineers imagined a monument that would celebrate freedom, friendship, and the bold American experiment after independence shook the wider world forever. In 1865, French scholar Édouard de Laboulaye proposed a gift for the United States, believing liberty deserved a monument powerful enough to inspire ordinary people, challenge tyrants, and outlive governments for generations. To turn that vision into reality, sculptor Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi designed a colossal female figure, classical yet modern, calm yet commanding, carrying light in one hand and law in the other forever. Bartholdi wanted the statue to feel alive, not like cold stone, so he imagined a powerful woman stepping forward, her robes moving gently as if liberty herself had just entered history. Her torch symbolized enlightenment, a light meant to guide humanity out of darkness, while the tablet in her left arm carried the date July 4, 1776, America's Declaration of Independence. But one of the most important symbols was almost hidden: broken chains at her feet, representing freedom from oppression and tyranny, a message many still miss. Many people think the statue was only about immigration, but originally it also carried a deeper political message about liberty, anti-oppression, and the struggle against human bondage in the 19th century. Creating such a giant monument was not simple, because Bartholdi needed more than artistic talent. He needed revolutionary engineering, careful planning, and a structure strong enough to survive wind, weather, and time. That challenge led to engineer Gustave Eiffel, whose brilliant metal framework allowed the statue's thin copper skin to move slightly instead of cracking, giving the monument hidden strength beneath graceful beauty. The statue was built from hammered copper sheets carefully shaped by hand, then attached to an internal iron skeleton, proving that this masterpiece was not only art, but science, craftsmanship, and invention. Before reaching America, the statue slowly came to life in France, piece by piece, section by section, until workers had created a towering figure so enormous it amazed visitors long before sailing. Even the arm and torch were displayed publicly before the whole statue was finished, building excitement and proving this monument was already becoming legendary before it ever touched American soil. But while France worked on the statue, America faced a major problem. The pedestal was unfinished, money was running out, and without that foundation, liberty could never stand over the harbor. For a moment, the entire dream seemed close to failure, because a giant statue without a pedestal was useless, and public enthusiasm alone could not solve the harsh financial reality. Then Joseph Pulitzer, a powerful newspaper publisher, launched a public campaign asking ordinary Americans to donate, transforming the pedestal into a people's project and turning small contributions into historic success. That fundraising campaign mattered deeply, because it meant the Statue of Liberty would not belong only to politicians or wealthy elites, but also to workers, families, children, and everyday citizens. Finally, in 1885, the statue was dismantled into hundreds of pieces, packed into crates, and sent across the Atlantic Ocean, beginning one of the most dramatic journeys any monument had ever taken. When those pieces arrived in New York Harbor, workers began the complicated task of reassembling Liberty on Bedloe's Island, where each section had to fit precisely into place. After months of labor, the giant figure finally stood complete, rising above the harbor with astonishing power, as if the dream imagined in France had crossed the ocean and become reality. On October 28, 1886, the Statue of Liberty was officially dedicated, instantly becoming a national spectacle and a global symbol, admired for both its meaning and astonishing scale. At first, she was not green at all. The statue originally shone with a brown copper color, and only years of air, moisture, and chemistry slowly transformed her surface. That famous green color came from oxidation, a natural chemical process that created a protective patina, meaning time itself changed Liberty's appearance while also helping preserve the copper beneath. That transformation gave the statue its unforgettable identity, but the deeper meanings remained hidden in plain sight: the torch of enlightenment, the law tablet, and chains broken underfoot. Most visitors looked up at her face and torch, never realizing the broken chains below were among the strongest messages she carried, quietly declaring that liberty meant release from domination and fear. As years passed, ships carrying immigrants entered New York Harbor, and for many exhausted families, the statue became their first unforgettable sign that another life might finally be possible ahead. Mothers, fathers, and children saw her from crowded decks after difficult ocean crossings, and in that moment, the statue became more than politics. She became hope, survival, and emotional rebirth. That immigrant meaning grew stronger after Ellis Island opened nearby, because Liberty stood like a silent witness while millions arrived carrying fear, hope, memories, languages, and dreams of dignity. Yet even as she symbolized welcome, the statue also stood within a nation struggling with inequality, exclusion, and contradiction, reminding history that symbols can inspire ideals people still fail to fulfill. One of the darkest hidden chapters came in 1916, when a massive explosion at Black Tom shook the harbor, damaged the statue, and changed public access in ways many people still overlook. The blast, linked to wartime sabotage, sent shockwaves through the area and injured the monument, leaving damage so serious that the torch was permanently closed to public visitors thereafter. One of the most famous parts of Liberty, the torch, is actually inaccessible today, a fact many tourists never expect until they discover the restriction's violent historical reason. Even more surprising, the torch people see today is not the original one, because the original torch was removed during restoration and is now preserved safely inside the museum. So the monument standing today is both original and restored, carrying the same identity but also the marks of preservation, proving history survives not by magic, but through careful human effort. Inside the statue, hidden from casual eyes, is a complex internal world of metal supports, stairways, rivets, and maintenance spaces, reminding us Liberty is not solid stone but engineered skin. Visitors who climb toward the crown experience a different Liberty, not distant and untouchable, but intimate, narrow, mechanical, and human, where every step reveals how enormous effort created elegance. The crown itself, with its 7 rays, has inspired many interpretations, often said to represent global reach, radiant liberty, and the spreading of light across seas, nations, and human imagination. Whether every symbolic detail was originally intended exactly as later generations believed, the truth remains powerful. People projected their deepest hopes onto Liberty, transforming her meaning across different times. That is why the statue's story is not only about metal, design, and dates, but about interpretation, memory, and emotion, because symbols become stronger when generations keep adding meaning. Liberty became a witness to war, migration, celebration, protest, and national change, standing through every era as the harbor around her reflected both America's greatness and its unfinished promises. She watched soldiers depart for distant conflicts, refugees arrive seeking safety, and generations of visitors stare upward, each seeing something different in her face, torch, crown, and silent presence. For some, she meant democracy, for others escape, for others opportunity, and for many, she was proof that even cold metal can carry human longing, memory, and moral imagination. That emotional power explains why the statue appears in books, films, speeches, classrooms, and political debates, because Liberty is not only architecture, she is also a language people understand instantly. Her greatest secret is simple: she means different things without losing herself, proving the strongest symbols welcome many truths at once. Even her location matters, because standing in New York Harbor placed her between ocean and nation, making Liberty a threshold figure, forever greeting those crossing into uncertain futures. She was built to honor freedom, yet her story also reveals struggle, compromise, fundraising, restoration, and reinterpretation, showing that even the world's clearest symbols are born through difficulty, not perfection. Her creators could not control how future generations would understand her. That unpredictability became part of her greatness, allowing the statue to grow beyond its original diplomatic purpose. Today, people photograph her from ferries, museums, skylines, and islands, but the deepest view is still historical. Liberty is a living monument shaped by politics, chemistry, engineering, memory, and myth. And beneath every photograph remains the same enduring question: what does liberty actually demand from a society, and who truly receives its promise when a nation claims freedom before the world? The Statue of Liberty answers that question imperfectly, because she represents an aspiration rather than a completed reality, reminding every generation that freedom is not inherited safely, it must be renewed. That is why activists, immigrants, students, and leaders continue invoking her image, because liberty still speaks whenever people debate rights, justice, belonging, exclusion, and the meaning of human dignity. Her silence is part of her power, because she never speaks directly, yet people keep hearing messages in her posture, torch, and steady gaze across the water toward the city. Some hear a promise of refuge, some hear a call to conscience, and some hear a warning that freedom becomes hollow whenever symbols are praised publicly but ignored in practical life. That layered meaning makes the statue endlessly discussable, because each generation returns to her with new fears, new hopes, and new arguments about what kind of society deserves liberty. Even the weather around her adds drama, with fog, rain, sunlight, and winter skies constantly changing her mood, making the same monument appear hopeful, lonely, fierce, mysterious, or almost supernatural. That visual power is why filmmakers and storytellers love her, because a single image of liberty can instantly suggest America, freedom, danger, memory, disaster, arrival, or the weight of history. Yet behind every dramatic image remains the real monument, built by workers, funded by citizens, engineered with precision, and preserved across decades by people who refuse to let symbolism disappear. So when people ask who built liberty, the truest answer is many hands did. Visionaries, sculptors, engineers, metalworkers, donors, builders, restorers, and generations who protected her meaning afterward. And when people ask why she was built, the answer reaches beyond politics. She was created to make an invisible ideal visible, giving freedom a face the world could remember. That is why liberty still feels larger than bronze, copper, and steel, because people do not just see a statue there, they see a test of whether ideals can survive history. Her raised torch still suggests guidance, but it also asks a harder question. Who is being guided toward dignity, and who remains outside the light that liberty claims to share? Her tablet honors law, yet history shows law can protect freedom or deny it. Making liberty's message more to come requires courage, vigilance, and honest self-examination. Even the broken chains beneath her feet feel urgent today, reminding the world that oppression changes form across time, and liberty must keep breaking new chains people once accepted. So her hidden secret may be this: the Statue of Liberty is not only about the past, but about every present moment when people must decide what freedom truly means. From France to New York, from copper brown to sea green, from political gift to immigrant symbol, liberty's journey proves monuments can evolve, deepen, and outgrow the intentions of creators. She remains one of history's rare creations where art, engineering, politics, chemistry, memory, and emotion stand together in one figure, making the statue feel both historical and permanently alive. When people look up at her today, they are also looking into a mirror of human ambition, fear, struggle, hope, and imagination, all shaped into one unforgettable presence above water. And perhaps that is why the statue endures, not because history around her was perfect, but because she keeps challenging imperfect people to rise closer to freedom's highest meaning. So the Green Woman in New York Harbor is far more than a statue. She is a story of creation, survival, symbolism, hidden details, and humanity's endless search for liberty. Every torch she lifts, every chain she breaks, and every gaze she inspires reminds the world that liberty is never only inherited, it must be understood, defended, and lived courageously. And so the Statue of Liberty stands at the end and beginning of history's journey, returning us to her silent question: what kind of freedom will humanity choose to create next? If this journey through the Statue of Liberty moved you, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below, because every comment keeps history alive and tells us which story to uncover next.